So in this video, we're going to dive a little bit deeper into using the minor scale to write a lead line. And in a previous video, we did look at how to write a lead for a chorus. This one can be more of a general application of how to write lead lines, whether it's for choruses, for the main riff or the main hook, or an underlying lead that kind of sits in the back of the mix, just to give maybe some of your lead riffs or some of the verses a little more texture. So again, in like all of my previous videos, we're going to be in drop C, which is C, G, C, F, A, D. And again, this can be applied in all drop tunings and in standard tuning as well. And again, we'll focus on the minor scale, and again, we'll use C minor. So in a previous video, we focused on playing the minor scale on the 5th string on the 5th fret, and it looks like this. And if you haven't already checked it out, I did do a previous video on how to write a lead for a chorus using the minor scale and some of its extensions. Today we're going to do the same kind of concept. We're just going to move the scale shape to a different fret, but starts on the same note, just in a different octave. And I think this is good because it offers a lot of contrast, which really helps bring a lot of the riffs and the leads to life. So if we write a riff or a rhythm for a chorus using the lower frets, a lot of times we want to play higher notes in the lead so that it cuts through the chorus so that we can hear everything really clearly. And that contrast is usually what makes it really interesting for the listener. So in this case, I just wrote a really simple rhythm basing it off of the C minor scale, and it goes like this. So it's pretty simple, and if you play a lot of rock, hard rock, metal, and metalcore, you've probably seen that kind of progression before. And to understand a little bit of the theory of this progression, it's still based off of the C minor scale, and I'm basing it off of the open C string. So if we played the C minor scale on the top open C string, it looks like this. And we can easily turn those into chords, in this case power chords, if we just bar the top 3 strings. So to keep it simple, we can use any of those chords we just played to write a rhythm for a chord progression for a chorus. And if you've ever played with anyone, or if you've ever watched a tutorial video and they call out numbers and the progression, this is what they mean. Every note in the minor scale has a chord associated with it, and they can always be played as power chords. Now, if that sounds a little confusing, we'll dive a little bit deeper into that in a later video, but for right now, we'll just make these all power chords. So every note that you play in the scale also has a degree number associated with it. So the first note in the scale is 1, the second note is 2, third note is 3, so on and so forth until you get to the 8th note, which is also starting over again at the first note. So it looks like this. So if you want to know what chord progression you're playing when you write something, all you have to do is count up to that note that you're playing or the chord that you're playing. So in this case, what I wrote is a 6, 4, 5, 1 chord progression. So at its core, it's a pretty simple concept, and this again is another way to help you get familiar with the scale. And in the previous video I did where we wrote a lead for a chorus, I based it off of the 5th string on the 5th fret. And in this video, we're going to use the same exact scale shape. We're just going to move it up to the next octave on the same string. So the next C note, and that would be on 17 on the 5th string. So this and this are the same exact thing, just played in 2 different octaves. So they're the same notes, just in different pitches. So for this chorus and this lead, everything cuts through really nicely and comes through really clear because we're using a lot of contrast. And for this lead and this chorus, I'm using the same concept as I did in the previous video, where I'm just using an extension, which is the next note in the next octave of the same scale. And that looks like this. The last note that I landed on is just the second note in the next octave of the scale. So when I played the first 7 notes and got to the 8th note, The 8th note is an octave of the 1st note, so it just starts the scale over again. So the next note that I played was just the next note in the scale in the next octave. And again, if that all sounds confusing, one really good way to help better understand this is bring up your tuner, play all of the notes in the scale, and write them down or try to memorize them. And just keep in mind that any other note that you play on the fretboard should be one of those notes in order for everything to be coherent and for it to sound good. And again, once you get really comfortable with playing the scale shape up and down, just using a simple alternate picking pattern, the next step would be to start adding slides or hammer-ons and pull-offs or bends to make your leads sound more interesting. And for this lead I'm playing, I just added one bend at the end of the phrase just to make it sound a little more interesting and just to round it out before it starts over again. And the second time I play it, I end it just a little bit differently. And those few small details can make your lead playing sound so much more interesting. So again, start small, start simple, and get really good at one thing, and then slowly start to add other pieces or tricks to your playing to make it sound a little more interesting. And again, thank you so much for the support for these videos. I just started doing this a short time ago, and there's already been so much great feedback, and I'm so glad it's helping, because these are some of the concepts that I wish were available specifically for metal guitar when I first started playing. And again, I will continue to put these videos out for free to dive more into these metal guitar concepts, but if you are a beginner metal guitarist, or if you've been playing for a long time and you kind of just been playing along with your favorite bands and you aren't quite sure exactly what they're doing when they write their songs, or how to connect the dots, or how to make it all make sense, I do offer private one-on-one virtual lessons, and you can contact me by going to my website in the link in the description. If you're looking to elevate your metal guitar playing and level up, reach out to me. I'd love to schedule a meeting to see if I'm the right teacher for you to help you elevate your metal guitar playing. And in the meantime, again, keep practicing, don't get frustrated, and just have fun with it. See you in the next one.